Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me. It's August 25th, 2024. It is Sunday. We're taking a look at the week ahead. We're also going to be looking at a couple of extra things. It's going to be a little bit longer episode. We've got some good things in here. So let's start off with the market and what is going on. So, what happened Friday? Now, we had Fed's Powell come out and say that the time has come for policy to adjust. That basically is solidifying with the policy change that there will be rate cuts coming in September. So with this, the risk indicator have dropped. So now the MMRI favored is at 237.6 and the fear greed meter is increasing. So now everybody jumping into the market, pouring their money in. It's still in neutral territory for the moment, but definitely headed towards higher greed. So with this, the two elements, we had the 10-year yield as well as the relative strength of the dollar, both dropping further. Now, we've got a little more weakness in the dollar as far as the technical charts. It's at 100.68 right now. But the big thing is the 10-year yield. Now, the question that I would like to propose to you is this. If Powell is talking about cutting rates, hasn't done so yet, why are the rates for the 10-year yield coming down? I want you to think about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Now, with this, we've got the 10-year yield approaching 14-month low. So now that we've got all of this coming into play, what that does is a weaker dollar and the rates coming down are positive for pricing, including stocks. So stock market went up, Bitcoin cryptocurrency went up. We also had gold went up. So now that we've got major central banks now aligned, as Powell is pretty much cementing in the September rate cuts, we've got these central banks that have to walk in lockstep. Otherwise, their currencies or their economies will suffer if they do anything outside of it. So ECB and Bank of England also kind of mimicking what Powell is saying, signaling lower rates. And the global officials, as this says, are concerned now. They're not looking at inflation so much as employment. So that means when we look at our calendar and the reports coming out, that now there will be much more weight to anything that has to do with employment as opposed to inflation, although they will be looking at inflation if there's anything out of the ordinary, so to speak. So the sentiment right now, stock markets got a nice boost on Friday on these assured cuts. So retailers are buying it all, but the big money is still saying caution. So is oil and gas and gold. Why are these important? Well, gold is reflecting world's deepest worries. Whenever there is high market turmoil expected, investors definitely run to a little bit more safe assets, one of which is gold. The second is Bitcoin, that investors are now looking at as an alternate possibility. Okay, so prices going up, weakening dollar, faller rates, warning of recession risk. So is oil pricing coming down because it's basically saying that there is going to be a drop in demand, and that's why the price is coming down. Even with the tensions in the Middle East, it pumped them up for a little bit, but still very weak in the charts. So what are we looking forward to this week? We've got our reports coming out. The jobless claims again with that major revision. We will be watching those on Thursday, as well as nVidia is coming out with their earnings. Now, those are going to be the large things happening this week. So I would like to take a moment. So Greg sent me a piece of work that he had put together, and he asked actually if I would share some of this with you all. I know a lot of you are also going to hear this from him, but he put together this work, and I'd like to go over just a bit of it because I think it's very important also. So basically, what he's saying is that nothing these days is what it appears to be. I couldn't agree more. So he goes on to say the lies, distractions, and every other conceivable manner of deceptive tactic is being weaponized and applied to keep the unknowing public in complete darkness as to what is happening to them. The system has been twisted into an in our face nightmare state for the middle class. The middle class is set to be wiped out, as you know. This is a psyop, an extreme counterintelligence sabotage, deconstruction propaganda scheme on an unprecedented scale. So, if you listen to him, I know you've heard him say these before, but now more than ever. So, he goes on to say that a key component of their system we're all forced to participate in legally removes wealth, ownership, liberty, and freedom from the masses and pushes all of this wealth right up to the elite class. He's speaking about the US dollar. Now, we're forced to transact in the dollar in multiple numbers of ways, and as we do, it makes the elite wealthier and wipes out the middle class. So he goes on to say the current propaganda is a campaign against us. The fact is, the world economy is contracting at the fastest pace on record. At the same time, central banks hyperballooning not just the debt, but with the debt also currency supply. So when this monetary base grows, it's highly inflationary. So he goes on to say this mechanism is deliberate. It is designed to increase demand for more central bank issued notes, aka US dollars. So as this currency loses purchasing power and is devalued, they have to create more currency with more debt. So it takes more central bank issued notes in order to buy all of this debt that they have put forth in this. So he goes on to say this is massively inflationary, but it gets worse. Just this past week on Friday, Jay Powell of the Federal Reserve announced that it's about to cut rates beginning September. So basically, this is instituting quantitative easing monetary policy. This is an emergency monetary policy. It is QE. It is the same monetary policy that was implemented during the crash in 2008. This greatly inflates the debt. It introduced vast amounts of quote unquote new money into the system, with really new currency. And the new currency is now used by the issuing central bank. In this case, we have the Federal Reserve to buy back or monetize their debt. Since they created this new money, they pump it into the system starting from the elite down. It further distorts asset prices as the stock market is overvalued right now and artificially inflates the price action. Artificially suppressing these rates opens a doorway for cash to make its way into the stock market. Artificially suppressed rates also inflates the price of real estate. He goes on to say that new money, which is not really money but it's currency, is an economic destroyer. So as they inflate these supplies of the currency and the purchasing power goes negative, they are wiping out the middle class. Okay, these suppressed rates are fulfilling a corporate agenda, destroying small businesses. So, with this, he goes on to say this also punishes savers that have interest bearing accounts because it is basically inflating this away. Since 2008, when the Fed began their QE, they have robbed trillions of dollars in realized gains through this inflationary method. So, with this, he goes on to talk about the Cantillon effect, but this is basically the bank prints the money, gives it to the super elite and corporations. They decide how to spend it, they get the best benefit, and once they eventually need something, a product or service from you, they will come and buy it from you, or others will come that they have paid will come and purchase it from you, and you'll get that small part of it. And that is how it, quote unquote, trickles down. So with this, I'd like to go into a couple of other things. First off, with all of this, we are losing our freedoms. They are wiping out the currency value. They're increasing the supply, so everybody will have massive amounts of currency, and it will be worth less and less every minute, really, not even every day, but every minute. So with this, they are also encroaching on our freedoms. And with this is prime story. No, you're going to hear about this. The founder of Telegram, his name is Durov, Pavel Durov. So he was arrested by French police. The irony of this is he was originally Russian, and he was concerned that by having the Telegram platform that they would over censor him or possibly arrest him for this, for having the freedom of speech. So he went, got a French passport, became a French citizen, dual citizenship, and he left Russia to go to France, and they arrested him. And now that he is a French citizen, they're not going to let him go. So he was talking to Tucker Carlson about this prior to it, and he basically was letting them know the pressure that he felt actually was the US agencies pressuring him to begin censoring his platform. So with this, senior Russian officials are saying that the United States is behind his arrest. He was charged with drug trafficking, fraud, cyberbullying, and promoting terrorism. So this is all through allowing tweets on his platform. So he's got to face these charges, and it's a pumped up thing. Basically, they wanted to get their hands on him. The problem with it is that a lot more of the media know this prior to them taking him in. So let's see what happens with this. We also had Scott Ritter is another one that has spoken up recently. He's an American that has gone to Russia and has said that Russia's never tried to dictate narrative to him, unlike the West, meaning specifically the United States. Now, he is a reporter and he's been working for Russia Today. So the FBI has been basically after him since this period of time. So with this, we'll watch the censorship is getting very heavy as we approach the election period of time. This will affect all things that you see in the media, in the news, on social media. So I've got a couple of other things wanted to bring up. And this is SeaTac, the international airport up in Seattle. They were hit with major delays. They think that it was a possible cyber attack. They haven't come out officially as of yet. We'll see what that is, but there's many more, not just this one, but many more cyber attacks that are occurring, constantly being pummeled by all of these attacks through multiple other countries and companies. So with this, I thought this headline was quite interesting. It's saying the Houthis have defeated the U.S. Navy, and this is a view. Basically, they have taken down a couple of oil tankers now, and they really have put a major dent into the shipping industry, as well as hurt economically for the shipping trades. So that could be an argument for that. With this, I'd also like to bring up the US led drone strike in Syria. They killed an Al Qaeda linked leader, according to them. This is going to escalate things a good amount. And we've still got a bit of the weekend. We know they like to do these things on the weekend while the market is closed, so it has a bit of time to absorb and adjust. So this just happened, but earlier in the evening or the morning, depending where in the world you are, there was more attacks. Last night, Israeli jet strike targets in Lebanon. So they're saying that they had detected multiple strikes coming in, so they struck first. So with this is the last that I have for you for this morning. I'm wishing you all a great week, good rest of your weekend, and until I see you again, my friends, stay free.